Check this stuff out.
Thanks everybody, my name's Trey Cook.
Best wave ever ridden out there.
Oh, nice! Get me mailman on the line.
Epic!
As you may or may not know, there's been a massive avalanche on Manaslu. Now what we can tell you for sure at this time is that there are 8 confirmed dead, there are 10 injured, and 3 missing. Now out of the ski Manaslu crew that we've been following, Glenn Plake is alive. He's heading back to Chamonix. Unfortunately, Remy Lecluse and Greg Costa are missing and presumed dead. Right, so it all kicked off Sunday morning about 11:45 Central European time when Glenn Plake's wife Kimberly gave me a call and told me straight off the bat, Glenn's okay. Immediately I knew everything was not okay. She went on to say that Glenn had called her from the mountain and told her there had been a massive avalanche. He was in his sleeping bag in his tent at Camp 3 around 6,800 meters. He was in his tent with Greg Costa reading from his Bible. It was 4:45 a.m. He had his headlamp on. They heard a sound. Greg turned to him and said, "Hey, did you hear that wind?" And immediately after that he said, "No, that was an avalanche." And that's when the avalanche hit their tent. He slid for about 300 meters down the mountain over a serac. When the tent came to a stop, he still was in his sleeping bag. He still had his headlamp on inside the tent. He punched his way out, and he said they'd been sleeping with avalanche transceivers on from the night before, so he immediately began searching for his partners, Greg Costa and Remy Lecluse. Remy had been in a tent by himself next to Greg and Glenn. Kimberly went on to say that Glenn told her that he searched for 10 minutes until he realized that he was walking around in the snow barefoot. He located his shoes, he located his camera, his sleeping bag, his down suit that Greg had been using for a pillow. He found everything that was in his tent, but there was no sign of Greg, there was no sign of Remy, and no sign of Remy's tent. That's all the news we had at that point. At about 2:15 later that afternoon, I got a call from Glenn Plake, who had arrived back in base camp, and he told me that he'd lost some teeth. His teeth had been broken out. One of his eyes was injured. And he was pretty beaten up, but he was okay. And he said to tell everybody for sure that he's on his way home. Talked about the rescue. He said that he got out of the tent and began searching. He couldn't find any sign of those guys. Pretty soon the crew from Greg Hill's team arrived and helped him in the search. And soon after that, some of the members from the base camp, their Sherpa, and others arrived, all really good search skills with the transceivers. And after 3 separate searches, no sign was found of Remy or Greg or Remy's tent. We read many conflicting reports. Glenn, in fact, was unsure about how many people were at Camp 3. He thought there were around 25 tents up there. And he told us that a massive serac had fallen above him. It was a 600 to 700 meter wide serac that had broken loose and triggered the avalanche that took out Camp 3, and it also took out some tents in Camp 2 that is located about 6,300 meters, I believe. This morning there was a press conference at the Chamonix mayor's office, at which time they confirmed there are 8 dead, 10 checked into the Kathmandu hospital as injured, and 3 missing. Clearly, Glenn Plake is alive. He's on his way home, but unfortunately, Remy Lecluse and Greg Costa are missing and presumed dead. We're going to bring you interviews with Glenn and his wife Kimberly as soon as we have them. Stay tuned to EpicTV.